Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to discuss tonight. We'll be talking about Solskjaer's transfer priority in relation to the centre-backs and the work Manchester United must be doing now and not in the coming months. As Fabrizio Romano says, Manchester United will decide on their centre-back target in the coming months. We need to be working on that now and we'll be talking about that tonight. Also, Anthony Martial. Could we be looking at an Anthony Martial summer exit? Some would say no chance. Some would say it's looking that way. We'll also be talking about Van der Beek and a few others as well. Lots to get through tonight, and I think it's going to be a good show. But first of all, can I just say, the show is sponsored by Surfshark. Big shout out to them for doing that. If you don't know what Surfshark is, it's a virtual private network. One of the things best about Surfshark is their data protection services, making sure your private messages, photos, videos, and other sensitive material is protected. But my personal favourite thing about Surfshark, and if you're not aware of what virtual private networks are, is you might be most interested in, is that you can change your location on your Netflix or any other location-specific streaming services, so you can watch them from anywhere in the world. So if you're in London, you can change your location to be in America, and then you can log in and get access to what Netflix has got on America. You can use Surfshark across as many devices as you like, even if they are used at the same time, and it's available on every device you can think of, from Android, iOS, Linux, Amazon Fire TV. I could go on, but I think you get the idea. But most importantly, because Surfshark are super nice, they're giving United Stand viewers 83% off and 3 months free. That's 3 months free when you use the code United Stand. Link, as always, is in the description. So you can get 3 months free, 83% off to try out what Surfshark's all about as a virtual private network. Links in the video description. Give it a go. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring the show. And that rhymes. And we move into the show seamlessly by talking about the centre-back situation. A lot of people are already talking about Anthony Martial. I think it's going to be very interesting. I'll give you a bit of a teaser about Anthony Martial. And that is that... I saw a story today. Basically, the headline was something along the line of Man United may be forced to do the unthinkable and get rid of Anthony Martial. And I was like, oh, here we go again. English bias. You know, there's loads of players who played badly this season, but because Martial's French, we want to get rid of him. And actually, when I read the article, to be fair, I was like, you know what? It makes very good points. You know, it is unthinkable to think about selling Martial. But where is his first team spot? Last season he was player of the year. Now he's not even a first team guaranteed player. Is that good enough for Martial? Is it good enough for the club? So we'll be talking about that. It's a very grown up and mature conversation. Be honest, Martial, Premier League winning striker. We can do better. So that's going to kick off in a few minutes' time about Anthony Martial. But first of all, we're going to talk about this. I do love Anthony Martial. I mean, I almost just... There's a star man waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow your mind. There's a star man waiting in the sky. He told us not to blow it because he thinks it's all worthwhile. Oh, let the children boogie. I just feel that Anthony, everything gets me going. I just feel with Anthony Martial, he is a star man. He's waiting in the sky. He'd love to come and meet us, but he thinks he'll blow our minds. I think he is star quality, Anthony Martial. Gets me goosebumps. I think he's a star quality player, but he is living in the sky on another planet at the moment. We need him to come and meet us, because I do think he is I really do rate Martial. I really do rate Martial. But anyway, let's get on to the first thing, because Fabrizio Romano's podcast came out today, and he was talking about the centre-back situation, clarifying what we'd heard. We mentioned it on the show this morning about Christian Falk saying that Manchester United are not in the race for Upamecano. It's Chelsea, it's Liverpool, and it's Bayern Munich. And I said we should really believe that, because he's got very good links to Bayern Munich. Well, Fabrizio Romano's podcast this afternoon, he says, look, Manchester United, they do like and admire Upamecano, but they're not in any talks about signing Upamecano. So we know that's not going to happen. But what Romano did say is that Manchester United will decide over the coming months what they're going to do about the centre-backs. And this is ridiculous. This is what annoys me, because Solskjaer's priority is a centre-back. We need a centre-back. And this is, you know, it reminds me of what happened with Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho wanted a centre-back. He got us to second place. He wanted to get a centre-back. They didn't get him one. And then he was sacked by Christmas. And I think it's because we're so bloody slow at transfers and we're so incompetent. This is why we need a director of football, because Solskjaer needs a centre-back. There are lots of centre-backs available in the summer. But if we're not working on it now and we're doing what Romano's saying, where United will make a decision which centre-back they're going to go for in the summer, over the next few months, we're going to miss out. Any competent club is working now. They're working right now to do the deals, and we can't wait till the summer to see what's about. It's like being at the Boxing Day sales, and when everyone's queuing up and running around to get it pre-pandemic. It'd be like Man United saying, we'll go tomorrow. We'll go tomorrow. When you walk in, there's nothing good left. You've got to get in there. You've got to elbow your way in there. Get in amongst it. Get your hands dirty. You've got to go and get that centre-back. It's as simple as that. David De Gea needs proper centre-backs because he will make mistakes if he doesn't trust his defence, says Stephen Nesbitt. Look, there's a few players that I think we should be looking at, and I think a lot of people would agree with this. But the reality is, we've got to start getting into this mix right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now. We've got to do it. And I was just looking at this 5 or 6. You could throw Ramos on there. You could throw Alaba in there. I think they might be speculative. But the thing that annoys me about this is, all you've got to do is say to Solskjaer, which is the centre-back that you want. You could even be competent at your job. Our board could even go to Solskjaer and say, hey, you know what, Ollie? I know you want a centre-back, so I've done a bit of Google. I've even played Football Manager. I've got 4 candidates for you. Which one do you like? And we'll work down the list. And tell you what, rank them in order. I will try and get you one. I'll go for your first one. And if I mess that up, we'll go for the second one. And then we'll go for the third one. We'll go for the fourth one. Very easy to do. And the best bit about this is, none of these players will cost more than 50 million quid. None of this Jadon Sancho 100 million nonsense. No more than 50 million quid to solve our centre-back issue. At number 1, you've got Jules Koundé, who's playing for Sevilla. 22 years of age. His contract isn't up for a few years yet. But Sevilla would probably take about 50 million quid. That's option 1. Option 2, Ibrahim Konate at RB Leipzig. His contract's up in a couple of years. He's 21. Leipzig will probably let him go for about 45 million quid. Option number 3, Badiashile at Monaco. He's 19 years of age. He's got a few years left on his contract, but he would probably be let go for £30 million. Option number 4, Raphael Varane. He's 28. He's just got a new agent and he's got 12 months left on his contract. You'd probably get him for £50 million. Who do you want, Ollie? Rank them in order and I'll go and do my fucking job. That's what Man United need to do. None of this waiting around for a few months. Get in the queue and get on with it. Don't wait for something to land in your lap, because you're going to be very disappointed. In fact, if you sit there waiting for something to land in your lap, it's probably going to be pigeon shit, or if you're really unlucky, a dead pigeon with the pigeon shit. Get on with it. 4 options there. Tell me you wouldn't be happy with those 4. And look, if I'm ranking them, I'm going to put Varane number 1, Koundé number 2, Konate number 3, and Badiashile number 4. Go out and do it. And if I'm Ollie, I'm going to say, go and do the job and tell me how you mess up each one, so I know what I end up with. Because if I end up with Badiashile, I think I can turn him into a decent centre-back, but I want to know why you messed the other 3 up. And if you come to me and you say, well, Liverpool got Sevilla, Chelsea got Konate, and Varane decided to go to PSG, then at least I know the incompetence of the board again. But there are options there, and it worries me with Manchester United that we are not competent when it comes to transfers. Hence, this is why we need a director of football. But what we must not do is think that this is a hard transfer window in relation to a centre-back. I've been thinking about it, and I'm sure many of you have been thinking about it. This is a ridiculously easy problem to solve. We need a centre-back. There are plenty of centre-backs out there. Go and get one. And I've seen summers in the past where you're like, we need a midfielder, we've got to get Schneider. We need a midfielder, we've got to get Vidal. We need a right winger, it's got to be Sancho. And we don't get them. And you're like, oh my God. But this summer transfer window, there are so many good centre-backs about. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's like that old saying, isn't it? But then again, some would say that with our board, they could fall in a barrel of tits and come up sucking their thumb. And we can't do that this time. We've got to go and get one. And I think that those options there, they should be talking to all 4 clubs. They should be saying, what's the situation? Do they want to come to the club? And, take the bull by the horns, really. And And I think that those options are there, and I don't think it's going to be a problem. You could, like Victor Liang says, you could add Koulibaly to there. I heard Liverpool wanted him on the transfer deadline day. He wants Man United, 90 million centre back. I don't know. I don't know at 30. I do not know at 30. Milenkovic, says James Madobi. Koundé's very fast. If the Glazers are going to be forcing Ollie to Maguire, which they will, Koundé will complement Maguire, so that's the best option. Realistic, says Ryan. I personally would like. I personally do like Koundé. But I also feel that we never tend to get what we want to get. But I do. Look, all I want to see is Manchester United employ a director of football, because I think it undermines what we're trying to do all the time. And we just need somebody to. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world, and I think the way that we do transfers, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his coaches, their job is to coach the team. Ed Woodward as chief executive is not as a director of football, and I think what really confuses many United fans and frustrates many United fans is that biggest club in the world, arguably, we've got a coach who coaches the players, we've got a chief executive who's a chief executive, and there's this vacuum in between as to right who's planning the transfers then, who's going out speaking to the clubs about the transfers, who's dealing with the contract renewals, and it just I don't know. You speak to people and they say, well, nobody really knows. Mourinho probably gave the biggest hint about what happens and I think Mourinho said something along the lines of, above him, there was nobody. There was no public-facing person to come out and, take the pressure. There's no football people above you. So you're just very much in the hands of business people. We're crying out for a director of football. This is not a fan theory that, we get one of those and we'll suddenly win the league. This is a necessity. It's an essential recruitment position. We need a director of football because their job right now in February would be mapping out not only this summer, but next summer. And I don't think we do. We're probably not. I've got a bit of meat stuck in my mouth. No, it's not meat. It's a bit of spinach. Felt like meat. Anyway, it feels like Man United are going to sit down in April and discuss Ollie's new contract, what players he wants. It's too late. It's too late for a big club. When we were after Griezmann a few years ago, that deal had been worked on for a very long time, and you've got to be working on these deals more. And I do feel that with Solskjaer, the graph is definitely going up. Let's talk about Martial now. The graph with Solskjaer is definitely going up. I think since he's come in the club, I've said this before, there's the Premier League table, there's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we are moving up. But I don't think we're moving up as steep as we were. I think it's starting to go like that. And as you know, with a roller coaster, it can go like that, level off and go down. I think to hit there, this is where the board kicks in. And people talk about the Super Bowl and the Glazers. I'm talking about a director of football. I'm talking about our transfer planning. I think Solskjaer is getting to the point where he's going to level off. I do. I personally think no manager can win the title with what we've got. And there's only so far you can go. Pep Guardiola couldn't win the title with Man City if he had the budget of a Southampton. And Klopp couldn't win the title with Liverpool if he hadn't had the backing. At some point, look at Chelsea. They always back their managers. You can't win a title unless you're Sir Alex Ferguson without total backing. And, to be honest, he did get backed. Maybe not as much by the Glazers, but he did get backed. So the next stage of Manchester United's progression for me is the board. And they've got to, if Solskjaer's got a second in the league, I think the way we deal with transfers, we're mid-table. I don't think we're very good at it. So for me, the next few months and the summer is about this board. And unfortunately, I feel personally that they've let us down massively over the last few transfer windows, and it's all eyes on them. And I would love us to buy a director of football, not because I think we'd sign Sancho. Whether you've got a director of football or not, you're still going to have to operate within budgets. But I just want a specialist in that position so that we know we've got a specialist in that position. Even if the Glazers say your budget's only 50 million, a specialist director of football would go, my budget's only 50 million, fine. They're not having a new contract. You're not having a new contract. You're being sold. I'm going to look for a CDM in the French league. I'm going to look in the Portuguese league. I'm going to use the scouts. You know, you operate with what you operate with, but we need a director of football. Hi, Mark. Loving the video. Can you wish my mate Greg a happy birthday and call him a prat, says Matthew Smith. Happy birthday, Greg. Matt Judge is in charge of United's transfers, a former banker who went to uni with Woodward. Well, if that is the case, and we do know that name, Simon, it says everything, doesn't it? It really does. Koundé starting against Barcelona tonight. Interested seeing how he goes on, says John Park. I'd rather watch that than Spurs-Everton, to be honest with you. Although I must just say, I hope we get a hard quarter-final in the FA Cup. I'd rather play Man City in the quarter-final than the semi-final. Because if we get to the semi-final this time, I can't be doing with four. We can't have 4 semi-finals where we don't get to the final. So I'd rather we got the harder game in the quarter-final, to be honest with you. That would make me much happier. Maguire's not good enough for Man United, says Logan. I think Maguire with Eric Bailly is fine. I think Maguire with a better centre back is fine. We need competition for places at centre back. What did it make me? I was listening to Maguire's interview post game and before the game. And there was a couple of things that I picked up on as well. Like in his post-match interview, he's talking about clean sheets. It's always about what he's done. And then the second thing he said was talking about goals from the midfield. And there was this hint that Fred needs to score more. And I thought, that's a bit cheap. How many headers should you have scored this season? But I do like Maguire. I just think he's got a very high opinion of himself and doesn't, funnily enough, after the game yesterday, Declan Rice came out and was apologetic because he felt he was at fault for the goal. And that's West Ham's captain. And I thought, you know what? I wish our captain would come out and just be a little bit self-reflection at the moment, because I think it would endear him more to the fan base if he actually owned his own mistakes. I've never heard him come out and own anything that he's done wrong. And I think that would endear him a little bit more. What I'm basically doing is trying to think of ways that Maguire can endear himself to the fan base more. And I think a bit of self-reflection would work well. I would never sell Maguire, and I would never really drop Maguire. I just think it's about playing the right player with him. I don't think he's a bad centre-back. I was actually quite happy when we bought him. Of course, I would have much rather we got Koulibaly. If somebody had said to me, you can have Koulibaly or Maguire, I'd have gone Koulibaly every day of the week. I never thought that Maguire was a world-class centre-back, but I was very happy that we got him. But I just think I would have said the same when we bought him. If you stick him with a slow centre-back, we're going to struggle. And I think we've seen that. Mark, no one can be this incompetent. Board don't care. Look what clubs like Leicester have done with their buys when owners care. I feel Ollie won't challenge the club, and the club will keep him as long as we get top 4, says Chinmay. Well, as I said the other day, I think with Solskjaer, he's like a grape on a blade, isn't he? He's always splitting the fans, and that's always going to happen. I think for Solskjaer to take us to the next level, i.e. title contenders, etc., he's going to get... This is what happened with Jose Mourinho, and it's going to happen with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer again. I would let this plant a seed in your head and think about it. You might get it straight away, or you might need to go and think about it. But what if I plant this seed in your head and said, Jose Mourinho took us as far as he could, and then he needed backing. Whatever you think about Mourinho, and look, it was time for him to be sacked. I agree with that. But he got us second place in the league. He'd won us a Europa League. He took us as far as he could, and then he needed backing, and he didn't get it. You could say the same with Van Gaal to a certain extent. And I think with Solskjaer, we're approaching that point. Third last year was brilliant. This year, I think he's going to get the same again, hopefully second. But he didn't get back last summer, and we've not improved in relation to a title race. This summer, if he doesn't get backed, we're not going to go where we want to go. We're not a title contender until he gets backed. He needed a right winger and a centre back last summer. He needs a centre back. He needs a CDM now. And that's the shame about the Glazers, really, because if they'd given him a centre back and a right winger last summer, this summer would be the CDM. But now it's going to be centre back, CDM, right winger, backup right back, and the list starts getting too big, so you never actually tick everything off. You guys are very close coming from a neutral. Your useless board must do the right business, says Case. Your attack is very strong. United is fun to watch, to be fair. And I think, coming from a neutral, that's absolutely spot on. We are just that little bit there. CG says we should sue Leicester for false advertising. It's not Maguire's fault. It's not Leicester's fault. It's Man United's fault. We never should have done that deal for that price, but we did. Mark, if United offered you director of football position, would you take it? I know they never would, by the way, says Fisticuffs. Well, I mean, it's a silly question because they would never, ever, 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 ever do it. But But of course I would. I think everybody in the live comments would take that job. Mark, you sell Martial, Rashford and get Harry Kane. He will score more than those put together, and it means Spurs get even worse. So win-win for United and Arsenal, says Zayn Miassi. I would like to... I mean, look, Harry Kane at Manchester United. I like Harry Kane. I think he's a good player, and I think a lot of United fans would like him at Manchester United. But, you know, when Marcus Rashford is not a player that we should ever sell. And... look, let's talk about Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial to me is he's a star man waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'll blow our minds. That's a star. He's a star man for me. I like Martial. Over the years I've been doing the United stand, I've always said Martial's in my top 2 or 3 players. But there is an issue this season. And the issue with Martial is, and I don't want to spend loads of time on this, but if you weren't here at the start of the show, just a little recap. There's a story I saw today that Manchester United, the headline was, Manchester United might do the unthinkable and sell Martial this summer. It's not about English bias. The article is actually spot on. It's spot on. It really did. It drew me in because of the title, and I thought I was ready to moan on social media, and then I read it and I was like, actually, this is actually spot on. And what it was basically saying is that Manchester United might have to do the unthinkable and sell Martial, because if he's not got the number 9 spot, what is he? You know, he wants to be the number 9 at this football club. He was the number 9 last year. He scored a lot of goals and he was player of the year. This season, Cavani's taken that from him. Rashford's the left winger. Greenwood's the right winger. At the moment, where Martial is on the bench. Our player of the year, our number 9, is on the bench for Manchester United. Now, that's not to say that he can't win those places back. Cavani is injury prone and might need a rest, could get injured. Rashford, you know, his form has been up and down, even though that, you know, he could, and Martial off the left has done well. But is it not that time to have that conversation? And look, I think Martial played really well last night, but I even tweeted it. I was like, I wanted to get people's opinions to try and understand the negativity. Because I know that Martial's always going to get pelters. I see it in the live comments. There are people who just don't like Martial, and that's down to them. That's up to them. But there is a barrier with Martial at the moment that even last night when I thought he did quite well, for some people that's not enough. So what is the future for Tony at Manchester United? And if the future is the bench, then I think even him himself will be like, I want to go. So it is, maybe it is an unthinkable thing that we might have to look at in the summer. A future without Martial at Manchester United makes me feel very, very sad. But I think the thing with Martial is that whenever he does well, something comes in and disrupts him. Like he did really well under LVG. LVG got the sack. He was our number 9. Without even meeting him, Mourinho said that number 9 shirt's going to go to Zlatan, and then he misused him for 18 months. If he's player of the year, he's our number 9, and we go and get Cavani, who has a renaissance, and he's our best number 9. And Martial's on the bench again. So I do feel that this season should have been Martial our number 9, building on that. But obviously, you've got to interpret that Solskjaer wasn't quite happy with the way Martial was playing. So what is the future for Martial? Open it up to the live comments. Hi Mark, how about Tamari at AC Milan to go alongside Harry? I don't think we'll be buying a Chelsea player, Daniel Bazant. I do like Tamari, but I don't think it will happen. I agree it's 100% the board's fault, but would you agree that after Moyes, LVG, Mourinho and now Ollie, probably no other manager would want to join us? Ollie should arm twist the board into buying or threaten leaving as a legend, says Chinmate. Loads of people would want the United job. Martial is a bench player. He's not an elite United striker. What about Lewandowski or Thomas Müller? Well, we wouldn't be looking at either of those two, I'm afraid. Is this a club charity? Everyone knows Martial is the better player, yet we need to sell Martial, says Iron. Martial, please stay, says Cormac O'Neill. And Carragher replied to your post, Mark, says Alistair Ricola. Did he? Did he really? In relation to what? Let's have a look. can't see it. Anyway, let's talk about Anthony Martial. Sell Martial for funding a centre-back, says Anaf. Now, where do I sit on Anthony Martial? I'm not literally. That would be poor. That would be hard for Anthony. Not in that way either. I mean, I'm stitching myself up here. Where do I sit on Anthony Martial? I meant to say not literally because I put a bit of weight on pandemic, and you know I don't want to injure him. But the point is, this is way too early. This is way too early to even talk about Anthony Martial's future. And look, I'm a little bit tired myself of saying, let's wait till May. Ollie, let's wait till May. Pogba, let's wait till May. Martial, let's wait till May. But in fairness, this is absolutely the right thing to do. There are still a lot of games to play, and Cavani can't play them all. Rashford can't play them all. And Martial, to me, I thought, let's not forget, Martial scored 2 goals against Southampton, and people are like, he doesn't score enough. I thought he played well last night against West Ham, and last week against Southampton, he looked on form. So there's a lot of games to play. There's Europa League. I don't think Cavani can play Thursday, Sunday. So it's a little bit like Henderson and De Gea. One of them's going to play one of them's going to play the other. And let's see where we are in the summer on the goalkeeper situation, and let's see where we are in the summer with the Martial situation. What I would like to see happen is Martial score maybe 10 goals between now and the end of the season, do really, really well, and then go and speak to Ollie in the summer and say, I'm not having another season like that where I'm second fiddle to Cavani and Rashford, so let me go. And if he's had a good end to the season and he's a valuable asset, then maybe you let him go. What I'm trying to say is Martial's got a big part to play in this. If he comes to the summer and says, I'm not happy, I want to go, I want to be the main man, and I don't care if that's Atletico Madrid or AC Milan or, maybe not an elite club, but I want to be a number 1, because he probably could be a number 9 for Sevilla or something like that, then let him go. But I like Martial. I would like Martial to stay at Manchester United. I've always been a big admirer of his. But I don't think now's the time to start thinking about selling him. But what I would say about it is I wouldn't be blind to the fact that it is a situation that could develop. So let's see what happens with it. But I don't think now is the time to start saying let's sell Martial, because I think these players have got a big part to play between now and the end of the season. I really, really do think we can win a trophy this season. It's going to be very hard. I'm not saying we're definitely going to do it. There's a lot of United fans who think no chance, we'll just be top 4 and no trophies again. I think there's a real opportunity to win a trophy, and I think that Solskjaer over the next 2 weeks is going to really have to make a few decisions about how he's going to do that. I think it's so impossible with the squad that we've got to win an FA Cup, Europa League and get second in the league. But so he's going to have to make some big decisions. I think the FA Cup's the one he wants to win, and I think we've got a real opportunity of doing that. But we're going to have to use the wider squad. Martial's a big part of that. I certainly don't think a situation is going to develop where we're sat saying sell Martial and he's not playing football. It's not going to be like Phil Jones or Juan Mata. We're hardly going to use them. I think Martial will get used a lot. And but look, with the best will in the world, we do need. If we sold Martial, we'd have to buy another striker. You could not go into next season with Cavani, Greenwood, and Rashford and Diallo. That's not enough. So many people think Dan James needs to go. We need more. We need more. And so I think Martial. If you were asking me, do you think Manchester United will sell Martial in the summer? I think he'll be here next year, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't ignore the conversation that there might be a possibility that he went. Martial's like Pogba, needs a star player next to him and to take the spotlight off him, says Rahul. And will Cavani stay next season, says Cormac. I mean, just very quickly on Cavani before we talk about Van der Beek. Very quickly on Cavani, I saw a story about, was it Boca Juniors are meant to be in talk with Cavani to take him there already, but it would be 2022, it wouldn't be this summer. So I think everything points to the fact that Cavani would be at the club next season for Manchester United. But look, here's one for you. Juventus, Martial, Ronaldo, United. Straight swap. We talk about Pogba. Would Juventus like Martial? I think they probably would. Would we like Ronaldo? Yeah. And we could keep Cavani as well. Martial will never be a title-winning striker, so skillful but no killer instinct, such as the likes of Rude, Rooney and Solskjaer himself, says Neil Leighton-Jones. And I think what Neil's hit on there, And please smash a like on the video if you're watching, by the way. I think what Neil's hit on there is absolutely correct. And I sort of hinted that a few minutes ago. Last season, Last season, Anthony Martial was our player of the year. And he scored a lot of goals. And yet, Solskjaer still sanctioned bringing Cavani in. Now, Cavani wasn't planned. We would not have bought Cavani if we'd got Sancho. We were desperate at the end of the transfer window. They'd screwed it up. They'd messed it up. They'd spent all summer trying to get Sancho. Not Solskjaer, the board. They'd spent all summer. Sancho thought he was coming. Solskjaer thought he was coming. Dortmund, I think, probably expected it to happen, and it didn't happen. So 2 days with the transfer window left, we went and got Cavani desperately. But Ollie still had to say, yeah, I'll take him. And I think when he took Cavani, Solskjaer thought, you know what? You know why I'm going to take Cavani? Because he's a proper goal scorer. And then he's used him ahead of Martial. So I don't think Cavani was actually part of the plan. And I think if we got Sancho, we wouldn't have brought another striker in. And Martial would be the number 9. But I think when Solskjaer was presented with the opportunity of bringing in a killer instinct striker, he went for it because he knows Martial hasn't got that. His eyes have probably been opened up to that now. So I'm not convinced in Ollie's mind that Martial is his first choice number 9. And also I think that Ollie's eyes have been opened to the importance of having a killer instinct number 9. Didn't Joel Glazer block the sale of Martial under Jose because he was his favourite player? Maybe they preferred to keep him, perhaps, as Ivan Scannell. I don't think Manchester United want to sell Martial, but you've got to remember that Martial's got a part to play in this. I think he's 25 now, isn't he? And he will want to be playing regular first-team football as a number 9. And if United can't do that, then that's the case. I want to talk about Donny van der Beek next, if we can move on. Let me just make sure we've had no super chats further. Could you call Aidan Cowling a flaming Villa Pratt, says Jams. And Mark, do you think Donny will be sold if we get Grealish, says Ajmal. Well, we're moving on to Donny van der Beek now. And there was just something I read this morning about the players don't trust Donny. Carrick was asking him to drift wide. And it's not how Donny wants to play football, and that is the problem. I do think that there's an over-exaggeration with Donny van der Beek. I think that he's a fantastic player, and I really do like him. But the problem was the problem last night was that. He was rusty and he doesn't suit the way we play. But what made me laugh about Carrick moaning about him, apparently Carrick was not happy with the way Donny was drifting to the right and wanted him to go central. But is this not an indication of what we've spoken about before, that you could have Bruno here and you could put Donny on the right and have Rashford off the left, and if Greenwood has an injury, who's playing right wing is my point. And Donny could play that position off the right hand side. We used to use Mata there, and sometimes before Mata got old, it worked quite well. I wouldn't mind Van der Beek playing to the right. I mean, I can see a team that you could pick against West Brom. I mean, I wouldn't drop Greenwood at the moment, but just bear with me on this. I wouldn't mind seeing Fred and McTominay. McTominay has to be given licence to get forward, though. I mean, I saw some. They make me laugh. They actually do make me laugh. And then it makes me laugh how angry people get in the replies. Somebody DM'd me today at JDot. Cheers for it. He DM'd me this and he was laughing. He said, have you seen this clip? And it was a clip where, you know, when McTominay came on last night, I was like, fucking hell, McTominay coming on, for fuck's sake. And then it clips away to McTominay scoring and he scores. And I went, I told you McTominay would score. What they're trying to say is that I was really angry that McTominay came on, and then I tried to claim that what I'd say, I was trying to claim it was a good sub. Of course, anybody who was watching Watch Along knows that what I was angry about, and what everyone was angry about, was that we'd brought McTominay on for Matic to play as a holding midfielder. And then as I was talking, I said, you know what? If we're letting McTominay get forward, that would be quite good. And we didn't. We didn't do that. McTominay came on with about 20 minutes to go, and just sat there at the back with Fred. But in extra time, he pushed on. And then he scored the goal, and that's what I was on about. I told you if he pushes forward. So I think McTominay has got to push forward. But listen to this: if you had Fred until we get a CDM as the disciplined sitter, McTominay is the box to box, and I think Van der Beek could play that role as well. Bruno, Rashford, Cavani, Van der Beek to the right. I think that would work. I think Van der Beek needs to play in the same team as Bruno. And that's what, in my opinion, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to drop in his head. Instead of dropping Donny van de Beek into a team that's got no creativity around him, put him into a team with Bruno Fernandes in it. And I think you'll see a better Donny van de Beek, because I think Bruno is the closest thing to what Donny is used to. Donny van de Beek is an, Ajax, created by Ajax, Dutch. Donny van de Beek, and you think of Dutch players, do you think of players that hoof it and run, or do you think of high intensity, intelligent positional players who want to give and go, play one-touch football and move the opposition around by movement? So Donny van de Beek was moving around a lot last night. He was, but none of that movement was appreciated, and he's never going to be appreciated by... Look, you know what it's like? It's like, you know your family members who love EastEnders and Coronation Street and Hollyoaks and Emmerdale, and that's all they ever watch. It's like coming home and saying, let's sit down and watch this Oscar-winning film, Parasite. It's got subtitles. And they'll be just like, what? But Ken's going to have an argument with Tracy tonight. You know, they're not going to appreciate it. And I felt that, I think that Van de Beek last night was like an Emmy Award-winning Netflix series, high drama, being played in front of two Coronation Street addicts who never watch Netflix and wouldn't know. If you said to them, have you seen The Godfather? They'd say, I don't know who my Godfather is. Like, they've got no depth of talent at all in relation. They just want to watch Coronation Street and Hollyoaks. And I think Donny van de Beek last night was a class above in relation to his positional sense, his movement, and what he wanted to do. But admittedly, Donny van de Beek had a bad game yesterday, because if you stick a professional in with a load of amateurs, then they're not going to do very well, are they? You know, it's like, I mean, I don't want to be blunt with this, but if in the Olympics, right, Usain Bolt comes up with a team to race in the Olympics, and there's Usain Bolt and three people with blindfolds on, he's going to look really crap, isn't he? Because one, they're going to run the other way when he wants the baton, and he's never going to win the race. And I think that with Donny van de Beek in the team yesterday, he had a bad game, but a lot of what he wants to do, there's nobody to appreciate it. You've got to, if you're going to buy it, look, people will say, well, no, I'm not having this because you've said about Pogba this, that and the other, and you've said that Pogba should be able to play well without good players. I agree with that. But no player is the same. And what I would say in response to that is, some people have said to me, Harry Maguire, you're wrong. Harry Maguire should be able to play good without having to. You shouldn't have to buy somebody to play next to an £80 million player to make them better. I understand that argument, and if that's your opinion, that's fine. But I would say, hold on a minute. Is it a centre-back pairing is a partnership? Whether Harry Maguire was worth £80 million or not, if you stick him next to somebody who's got no pace and there's no relationship, then he's going to look as a bad player. If you stick him next to somebody that complements him, he's going to be a better player. And that's why I think Harry Maguire looks a good player with Eric Bailly and looks a poor player with Victor Lindelof. It's nothing to do with, whether we overpaid for him or not. He needs a different side, a centre-back pairing is a partnership. The same thing I'd say about Van de Beek is if you put him in a team with players that don't understand his attributes and don't appreciate them, he's not going to have a good game. It's like having Lionel Messi on your right wing, but never giving him the ball. You're never going to he's going to have a bad game. So, and also what I would say is, on Donny van de Beek, did we not scout this player? Like, if I've got Donny van de Beek and I'm managing Spurs or Everton or whatever, if I'm going to play him, I'm going to play him with people that can get the ball into him, because playing him with Matic and Fred behind him, what's the bloody point? Like, they're not going to get the ball to him quickly. And when they do get the ball to him, he's going to have 10 players around him. So to me, it's absolutely obvious that if you're going to buy Van de Beek, you've got to put him into a team with people like Bruno and Pogba in it, because they're going to get the best out of him. And that is the problem for me with Van de Beek at the moment. When maybe I don't think, that people were saying last night they were ignoring him, they weren't giving him the ball. This is a nonsense. Look at the pictures of them training. Look at Van de Beek chatting to Fred before the kickoff for second half. Everybody likes Donny van de Beek at Manchester United. Everyone respects Donny van de Beek at Manchester United. But your friendships in training are not the same as being in sync on a football pitch. They're not used to playing with him. They're used to playing with Bruno, and they're very different players. So I sympathise with our players, and I really sympathise with Donny, because they don't know what he does, because they don't play with him. They don't know the runs he makes. They don't know how he wants the ball, because they're used to playing with Bruno. And I think if we're going to get the best out of Van de Beek, he can't play as a number 10, because the difference between Van de Beek and Bruno is huge. And also, I think that you've got to play Bruno and Van de Beek on the same pitch. I mean, look, it was Newcastle away, but remember when I think we were 1-1 against Newcastle back in maybe October. Mata started, Bruno started. We brought Donny on for the last half an hour, and we battered them. But I mean, this is the thing. You had Bruno, Mata and Van de Beek. Well, whatever you think about Mata, and I think Mata's past it, he's a baller. Bruno's a baller. Donny's a baller. You've got to put, talent appreciates talent. Putting Van de Beek in a team like last night is destined to fail, because they're not ballers in the midfield, and he needs to play in a team with Bruno. You've got to get Bruno and Van de Beek in the same team, much the way as you've got to get Pogba and Bruno into the same team. So, for me, Van de Beek needs to play in the same team as Bruno. Mark, if you were given the director of football job, how many years would it take you to turn us into Premier League champions? Yaz, I'm not a bloody director. My opinion's no better than any of yours. We're just chewing the fat here. But I think most of you would be better director of footballs than what we've got, because we haven't got one. We haven't got one. And the people who are meant to be our director of footballs, I don't think they ever supported Man United. And I think they're bankers. So, bankers, B, not W. So I think that, we're crying out for one. We really, really are. It's like Liverpool's backline with Van Dijk and without him, says Stephen Nesbitt. And Mark, do you think our midfield needs clearance in the summer, especially centre midfield, says Rishad? Well, probably going to be Pogba. Sean Negative Turner, Donny will not be a success if United if Ollie stays as manager. I really hope Donny outlasts Ollie, as anyone other than picks Fred over him. I do worry about Van de Beek. I mean, can I just ask the live comments? Do you think Van de Beek's going to be a success at Manchester United? And I want to get some of your comments, because if you'd asked me that question a month ago, I'd have said, yeah, I think he is. If you ask me now, I'm worried about Van de Beek's future. I suppose it's very similar to Martial's future. If Ollie's not going to play him, Van de Beek is going to want to... The thing about football is, it's never... I said this today. I never worry if I get something wrong. I've been doing this for 5 years. There's loads of clips of me getting things absolutely spot on, predictive things. There's a lot of things where I get it wrong. The thing about football is it's like a bus. A football opinion is like a bus. If you miss out on one opinion, there'll be another one coming along where you'll get it right. So, look, I think with Van de Beek, a month ago, I would have never said he was going to leave. But now I'm a bit worried. But the real thing about football is that everyone always thinks there's one decision to be made. There's 2 or 3. Van de Beek's got a decision to make. Ollie's got a decision to make. And the club's got a decision to make. But the reality is, if Van de Beek is in the summer and he's where he is now, is he going to want to do another season? You don't get many seasons as a professional footballer. The Euros are coming up. Will he get to play in the Dutch side? There's loads of things coming up for Van de Beek that I don't think he'll want another year like this year. So Van de Beek might push for a move if he's playing as little as he is at the moment and not being used. Solskjaer might be happy for that move to happen. So it's more than just saying, well, Solskjaer will decide Van de Beek's future. But I'm worried about it because I don't see why we bought him. That's the big thing to me. I don't see why we bought him. And I was very excited when we bought Van de Beek, and a lot of you were. But, 6 months on, the thing that concerns me the most is, and look, I'm going to say it again, let's wait till May. And I am going to say wait till May, because I can't give you an honest answer now as to whether he'll go or not. I think the next 6 months will be key. But what disappoints me the most is, I was excited we bought Van de Beek because I know what sort of player he is. I'm not convinced we know what we were getting. It's almost like when we use him, we don't even know what he's all about. And that's terrifying why we bought him. And then it makes me think, did we buy somebody that Solskjaer didn't want? And that's the thing that worries me, because it's not fair on Solskjaer and it's not fair on Donny. Maybe Ollie does have a plan that includes Donny as an important part, but he just doesn't have the pieces in place to execute it, i.e. a decent CDM, says Knuckle. Maybe. Donny on the right would allow triangle passes with Bruno and striker. It would work perfectly with Cavani and Tony's hold-up play, says Daniel Kirk. I'd like to see him play off the right, but obviously we've got Greenwood there at the moment, who I think is doing well as well. So, maybe a few weeks ago was the time to try. Well, the thing is, we're not going to use Donny off the right. Even though we've used Juan Mata there and Donny's more mobile, we're not going to use Donny off the right. We've never done it, even though it's very logical. And we could have done it weeks ago. And now, if we did it, I think Greenwood's doing a good job there anyway. So, sorry if you've already touched on this, but has anyone called out the fact that the Glazers just won a football title this weekend? Says Kevin Miller Music. Yeah, it's been spoken a few times, Kevin. How about Lil, great right back, Thiago, only 20 years old, and also I think he can play as a centre-back, says Daniel. And it would be absolutely stupid to get on Ajax's bad books by mishandling their prodigy, says Chinmay. Ollie doesn't have the tactics or bravery to play Donny because he will not get away from this 2 CDMs rubbish. He's scared to start Bruno and Donny, says Sean Negative Turner. And Woodward, banker for 10 years, in United Football Club for 17 years, more experience in football now than banking, yet you still call him a banker, says AJ. Mate, I don't think Ed Woodward displays any more knowledge than my gran about football. Rest in peace. Because I don't. How many interviews has he done talking about football? How he's very aloof. He runs that football club, but he never gives any indication that he knows anything about football. No. And to be honest with you, AJ, I mean, he's been in football longer than he's been in banking. Well, what do you do? Should we make him a cake? Like, I agree with you. If you're trying to allude to the fact that he should be very good at his job, yeah, I agree. It's almost like he's been there 2 weeks. I mean, we're still massively failing in transfers. We're still giving out silly contracts. We're still making bad decisions in the transfer window. And yeah, he is head of that. So you're right. He has been here a long time. And where's the evidence that he's getting good at it? So, maybe Ed Woodward does do a good job, but ultimately he's the one who always gets mentioned badly. And, if I was him and I was doing a good job, I'd be outing the people who aren't doing a good job and making sure that my reputation is intact. Can you say hello to my friend Lyndon? Says Aidan Cowling. I can do. Just going back to what Sean Negative Turner said as well about Ollie not being brave enough to play Van der Beek and Bruno in the same team. Well, I do sort of disagree, but also agree. Welcome to the Members Club, Ali. Thank you for joining. You can do that by clicking the join button. And please smash a like on the video, by the way. I sort of agree with Sean and disagree, because Pogba has been shoehorned into the team, hasn't he? Has he not? Pogba's been shoehorned into the team. And also, I think that with Bruno, we've seen Pogba playing right wing and left wing, so he can play McFred and Bruno. So if he really wanted to put Van der Beek in the team, I disagree with you, Sean. I think he would do it. But then, so no, I disagree. Actually, I disagree with you, Sean. I do disagree with you. I'm going to have courage in my convictions here. If he really wanted to play Van der Beek, he'd put him in the team. Because if you can play Pogba right wing and left wing to get him in the team, because you won't move McFred, then you can do that with Van der Beek. But where I agree with you is, Ollie does not really want to do it. He doesn't want to play Pogba and Bruno centrally. And that's why he puts Pogba on the wing. He does not want to break McTominay and Fred up, or Fred and Matic up, or anyone like that, because he's absolutely terrified. And I would say, quite justifiably, he doesn't want his centre-backs to be got at, which is why we see McTominay playing out of position, Fred playing out of position. There's no way Fred's a CDM, by the way. No way. He is never in a million years is Fred a Fabinho, a Kante, a Verratti, or anything like that. He's not a CDM. And there's no way Scott McTominay's a CDM. And this is why this season we've seen McTominay play poorly when he's just told to sit in front of the back four. When he's allowed to get forward, he's a better player. I don't know what Fred is, by the way. You know what? I don't really know what Fred is. I think Fred's massively underrated, but I'm not really sure I know what Fred is. He's definitely not a CDM. And you can't call him a box-to-box player, because around the edge of the box, he's atrocious. But he is a very good player for us. But what can you carry a player that's not a CDM and not a number 8, but is very good at running around? Fred's a really interesting one, because his passing is atrocious. He can't hold the midfield on his own, and he's not creative enough to be a number 8. So what is Fred? Is Fred the problem in many ways? Because I think if we didn't have Fred, you could play... And imagine Matic was at his best. Matic is a CDM. You could play Matic as a CDM, Pogba box-to-box, or McTominay box-to-box, maybe in Van der Beek box-to-box, and Bruno as the attacking midfielder. The problem we've got this season, and I think it's messed us... It's not screwed us up. We've had a very good season. We're having a very good season. But I think when you look at the game like last night against West Ham and all the nil-nils and everything we've had against the top six, the problem Solskjaer has against good sides or in big games is against Fulham and against Sheffield United, he will play Pogba in the midfield too. He will let McTominay get forward. But against the big teams, he won't do it because he's terrified of teams that are good getting at our back too and exploiting us, which they will do. And I think all season now, we're really seeing that we need a CDM and we haven't got one. McTominay's never going to be the number 6. He needs to be the number 8. Pogba's not a number 6. He needs to be a number 8. Donny van der Beek's never going to be a number 6. He needs to be a number 8 if he's going to play there. But we ain't got a number 6. And it really does hinder us. Do you know if Ricky does his streams with his son? Because that person is an exact mental clone of Rick. You should have him on sometime, says Nelson. Thanks for the super chat. If we get a good CDM, would you think Ollie will play 2 box-to-box with Bruno, Van der Beek, McTominay, Fred? Says Shrivinchan. And Fred to me is like Jason Park, runs about a lot but lacks the passing and finishing, says Dean Colbert. And hi Mark, can you say hello to Lynn for me, please? Says Aidan Cowling. Hello Lynn. I do think if Solskjaer gets a centre defensive midfielder, we will find out if Scott McTominay is really a Manchester United football player if we get a CDM. I'm willing to almost backtrack on what I said about McTominay. I think I would never sell McTominay. I think he's a bench player for Manchester United, but I think in fairness to him, a lot of the criticism I've given him, and I know many of you have given it him, but I will own what I say. A lot of the criticism I've given McTominay is because to me, as a CDM, he is no better than any CDM in the Premier League. Like, I just don't think he's very good there. But when he's allowed to push forward, we see what he's all about. Very, very strong. It's interesting that he used to play as a striker because you can see the way he hits the ball is really well. And, you know, he needs to be allowed to get close to the edge of the box. Well, he can't do that as a CDM. So, but to do that, we've got to have a number 6. And we haven't got a number 6 at the moment. But to answer the question, do I think if we had a number 6, Ollie would stop playing a shield in front of the back 4? I think he'd probably need a centre-back as well to have confidence in his centre-back pairing, which he doesn't have at the moment. I mean, we all know that Ollie loves Maguire and Lindelof, but he loves them so much that he protects them with 2 centre midfielders. I think they are his best of a bad bunch, really, but I think Ollie's fully aware, and I think a lot of us criticise Ollie for picking Maguire and Lindelof, but he's fully aware. Look at his tactics. He's fully aware that he's got to protect them. So they might be his first 2, but I don't think they're his dream 2, because if they were, he wouldn't protect them like he does. But think about Solskjaer when he first came to the club and he got the job off that 3-month good run. Think about Solskjaer last summer when he took us to 3rd. Both those formations had 1 holding midfielder, 1 box-to-box, and 1 with more attacking licence. When he first came to the club, it was Matic holding, Herrera box-to-box, and Pogba more advanced. Herrera got injured in the February, Pogba got injured, and it all fell apart. In the summer, it was after lockdown, it was Matic as the holding midfielder, Pogba with more licence as a box-to-box, and then Bruno the more attacking player, and we got 3rd. This season, we've never really done it. It's always been 2 holding midfielders protecting them centre-backs. So I think if you gave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer his pick of centre defensive midfielders, and he said, I want Rice or I want Ndidi, he would sit them in front of the back 4 on their own. He would put someone like McTominay or Pogba next to them. Because people think a box-to-box player is just going to attack. Box-to-box means you've got to defend, but you don't just stay back and defend like we do at the moment with McFred or Matic. They just sit there. They don't go past the halfway line, really. But a box-to-box player, they've got to work back to get the ball, and they've got to help the CDM. But when they have got the ball, they're allowed to get forward as well. And that's what we need to see. Hang on, Mark. Fred has been your man of the match a few times this year. Fred is more of a box-to-box player, not a CDM, says Daniel Bezans. No, Daniel. I'm not criticising Fred in the sense that I think he's massively underrated, and I think we do miss him. I think he's the most mobile player we've got in the midfield, and I think he tackles well. But unfortunately for Fred, what is he? What is his position? And I can think of a lot of players that we've had at this club. I mean, Veron was an interesting one, the same. You know, Veron came into the club when we had Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville. We did have Gary Neville, but in the midfield, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, and Veron. And the problem with that was, well, where do you stick him in the team? We did try to play a 4-5-1, but, you know, we could never really find a place for Veron. And I think if we, you know, square pegs in round holes comes to mind. I think Fred's very underrated, and I think Fred's been a very good player this year. But what is he? If you play the holding midfielder, you play the box-to-box player, and you play the attacking midfielder, where does Fred play? He sits on the bench, doesn't he? Is Fred a starter when you've got everybody you need? And I don't know that he does. If you've got your ideal, and I'm not going to name a name, but if you've got your ideal number 6, it's not Fred, is it? If you've got your ideal number 8, it's not going to be Fred, is it? Because if you give Fred the license to get forward, what's he going to do when he gets on the edge of the box? He doesn't do anything. So I like Fred. I think he's underrated, and I think he's very valuable to us at the moment, but only because we haven't got the players we need in the positions we need. And I don't think he can ever be the number 6, in my opinion. Opinion on Mansfield Town, says Ashton Wilton. Not a lot. I've never really thought of Mansfield Town for a very long time. When I think of Mansfield Town, what do I think of? Keith Alexander, didn't he used to manage them? For some reason, that name just popped into my head. Fred is good. He's good. He's just not good enough. You know, Fred's a bench player, isn't he? You know, if we had Fred on the bench, I'd be very happy because I know the first team would be sorted. So you know, bench players to me are massively important. And at the moment, he's a starter. He's very, very much needed. I would not be benching Fred at the moment. But where we need to aspire to be, I think you got to look at Fred and say, I agree with what the person said. I do agree. I think that Fred is a box-to-box player. I think that's his best position, but not in a club that's in the top 4. Do we know how long Pogba's out for, says Daniel Kirk? I think he will be out for about 4 to 6 weeks. I think we'll be lucky if he's back for the Manchester City game. But we'll see about that one. And Mark, put yourself in this position. You've got 80 million. I've retired. Fuck the United stand. I'm off. I'm only joking. Oh, I've just exposed myself as a money man. No, I wouldn't stop. Mate, look, I don't know what... It's like I'm having an argument with myself now. I didn't say anything. You've done it. If I had £80 million, I'd still do the United stand. I used to do the United stand when I was working 45 hours a week in another job because I love doing this. I used to do the United stand as a hobby. So I don't know why I'm saying this. He didn't even ask you about that. It's not even going to be about that. He says, Mark, Charlie Bowyer says, Mark, put yourself in a position. You've got 80 million and you can only have this summer to spend it. You can do player swaps and sell people. What would you do? What would your priorities be? Oh, I tell you what, Charlie, this is the sort of thing where I wish I did GCSE maths. Imagine how good maths would be if they said, today's lesson is you've got £80 million as Manchester United Director of Football. You can sell people, you can swap them. You've got 1 hour to build a team that's going to win the league. That would be the best maths lesson ever. The best maths lesson ever. So if I've got £80 million and I can sell and buy to get more. Right, if I've got £80 million, 60 million straight away on Kunde. Gives me 20 million left, right? I've got to get creative now. So I need to generate some money. So I've spent 60 million quid on Kunde. That's my centre back sorted. I sell Bailly for 15 million to add to the 20 I've got left. That gives me 35 million. I sell Lingard for 15 to 20 million. That gives me 55 million. I knock on West Ham's door and I say, how much is it going to take for Declan Rice? And I also knock on Leicester's door and say, how much for Ndidi? Leicester say, we want 80 million. I said, you've tried that before. I'm not an idiot. Piss off. I go back to West Ham. I say, how much for Declan Rice? They say 60 million. I say 55. They say 60. Chelsea are interested. I said, I'll be back in a minute. Delo, off you go. 10 million. I've got 65. There's 60 million. You can have Declan Rice. I've got 5 million in my pocket, but I've got Declan Rice and I've got Kunde. 60 million each. Then I speak to Pogba and I say, what's your plans, Paul? What do you want to do? I want to go. Okay, Real Madrid can't afford you. I don't need Varane. Juventus want you. Would you go back? I'd love to. Right. Juventus, you can have Paul Pogba in a straight swap for Cristiano Ronaldo. What do you say? Oh, I don't know about that. It's a one-offer time. One offer. And I'm only doing it through sentimentality reasons. We'll do it. Great. Bye-bye, Paul. All the best. Come back, Cristiano. We're done. Goodbye. Oh, you want a backup right back? How much for Max Aarons? How much for Lamptey? 30 million for Lamptey, 20 for Aarons. I've only got 5 million. Ooh. What can I do? Who can I sell? Right. I think I've sold everybody I can. Mata, you're gone. That frees up a bit of wages. Matic, you can go too, but I'm not getting any money for you. I'm struggling here. Dan James, it's your lucky day. 15 million. Off you go. I've got 20 million now. There must be somebody I can get rid of for 10 million. Phil Jones, I won't get anything for him. I've got 20 million to get a right back. I need to get rid of somebody else. Who am I going to get rid of? Where's some money in this team I can get rid of somebody? All right, I'll just give up. I won't get a right back. But I've just got Ronaldo, Declan Rice and Koundé. So there you go. Pereira. Get rid of Pereira. 5 million. 25 million. Max Aarons, in you come. Bada bing, bada bum. Yabba dabba doo. Hooray! There's a star man waiting in the sky. He'd like to come to meet us, but he thinks he'll blow your mind. I'm a star man waiting in the sky. Yes, that was good. I really enjoyed that. That's one of the most enjoyable minutes I've had in a long time. But it could be done. But you know, to do that, to do what I've just done there, you've got to be competent. You've got to be competent and you'd have to work hard. And I've done that in, 5 minutes? I don't underestimate. I mean, look, I know that couldn't be done in 5 minutes. That would probably need about 7 months to do everything I've done there would need 7 months. Because there's only about 5 or 6 deals, but there's negotiation, there's generation of funds, and there's obviously everything to be sorted out. But thank you for the question, Charlie Bowyer, because what you've just shown there is why we need a director of football as well. Because all I've done there was very easy to say, do this, do that, do that, do that. And look, I've not underpaid. Koundé is 60 million. Declan Rice probably is 60 million. Everybody have sold 15 million Bay, 15 million Lingard, 5 million, whatever. Everything I've done there is correct. And I think Juventus, Ronaldo, Pogba could be done. But you've got to have a director of football to do that because you've got to be absolutely on the ball. Ashton says your opinion on Ty's headphones. I think mine are better. I think they're better. But there you go. So yeah, smash a like on the video, everybody. Bring back the chart show. But look, on a serious note, what would you think about that? Koundé, Declan Rice, Max Aarons, and Ronaldo. Would you be happy with that? I'm thinking myself, Koundé, Rice, Ronaldo. I tell you what, I'm a prat if I said I'm not. I'd be over the moon with that. What has caused Shaw's rise in form this season, says Matthew Larney? I think the fact that Touchwood, he's not really been injured, although he did get one injury. I think the competition for place with Tellez. I mean, look, many people, I guarantee you, if we did it, our survey said, who will be Manchester United's first choice left back in February if we'd asked it in September? Our survey said it will be Alex Tellez. Well, it's not. Our survey said it's Luke Shaw. So I think that's what would have happened. But Munir says that's a title-winning team for sure. Well, I think with Declan Rice, you get a CDM, which is what we need, which frees up McTominay or Van der Beek to play in the number 8 situation. Koundé will make Maguire a better player because he complements him perfectly. The height and aerial ability of Maguire and the pace and positional sense of Koundé. Ronaldo just brings you pure quality and shares the load with Cavani. And Max Aarons gives you backup for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Diallo develops on the right. Greenwood keeps developing on the right. Martial and Rashford. Lots of options in the midfield as well. I think it would be good. But there you go. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. I've really enjoyed that show tonight. I feel like I could have gone on for a lot longer. We're in the groove. I felt like Madonna. Get into the groove. I thought we were in the groove. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you have a good evening. We're back tomorrow, Thursday tomorrow, isn't it? Thank God it's not Europa League yet. That's next week. But 5 to 6. We're playing at 5 to 6 next Thursday. Come on. Hi Mark, do we really want to do a swap deal with Pogba and Ronaldo when Paul was 90 million and Ronaldo would really only stay for a year or two, says Ross. Yes, but Ross, Pogba's got 1 year left on his contract. He ain't worth 90 million anymore. He's probably worth about 40 to 50. So you've just got to... And Ronaldo's the best player the world's ever had with Messi at the moment. So I think there's a sentimental pull with Ronaldo. A lot of people would say it's not worth doing, but I would do it. If Pogba wants to go. Please subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Smash a like on the video. Get involved in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Lots of content for you tomorrow. Have a fantastic evening. Please do stay safe, especially in the UK, because we are in a pandemic here, but the numbers are coming down. I hope it's coming down in your country, but the way that will come down is by you continuing to stay safe, wear your mask, social distance, and keep yourself well. That's the most important thing. Thanks everyone for watching, and I agree, I think Ronaldo's got 3 or 4 years left, to be honest. Speak to you in a bit. And remember, download Surfshark. It's free. You get 3 months for free and 83% off. Give it a go. Links in the video description. Virtual private network. Speak to you in a bit.